30 kilometers of history, 30 kilometers of books and documents held by the Historical Diplomatic Archive and the Library of the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation at the Palazzo della Farnesina. This heritage of historical documents allows us to reconstruct the history of diplomatic relations at the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries. Among the most exciting passages is that of the birth of Italy as an independent unitary state and the beginning of diplomatic relations between Italy and the United States in 1861. Let's delve into these pages of our diplomatic history by taking a step back to the time before Italian unification. Prior to the 1861 unification of Italy, the Italian peninsula was divided into 5 different states. The Kingdom of Sardinia, ruled by the House of Savoy, was destined to play a leading role in the unification process. In 1838, the United States sent a diplomatic mission to Vienna for trade negotiations. On that occasion, the head of the delegation, Niles, informed the minister plenipotentiary of Sardinia that the United States wished to establish political and diplomatic relations in addition to existing consular and trade relations. The diplomat from Piedmont harbored some doubts about the benefits of strengthening relations with such a distant state. The House of Savoy, on the other hand, responded positively and decided to send a chargé d'affaires to Washington, D.C. The dispatch of instructions to the future Sardinian diplomatic representative to the United States, Count Avogadro di Colopiano, explains the reasons for the Kingdom of Sardinia's interest in establishing diplomatic relations with the United States. At first glance, our relations with North America may appear to be purely commercial, given the great distance that separates us. But nowadays, distances between the Old World and the New World are decreasing due to the growing number of communication routes. And any political stir, whether latent or manifest, in one of the 2 continents, is destined to have significant repercussions in the other.
È destinato ad avere notevoli ripercussioni nell'altro.
The opening of legations, diplomatic missions, in the United States and the Kingdom of Sardinia might have appeared unjustified to some, but attentive and discerning viewers could already see important political and diplomatic developments appearing on the horizon.
First signs of the deepening ties between the Old World and the New World were initially more apparent in fields other than that of diplomatic relations. In the first half of the 19th century, revolutionary uprisings spread across Europe with the aim of undermining the conservative system imposed after the downfall of Napoleon. After the failure of liberal movements in Italy, many political activists were forced into exile. Several of them, such as Federico Confalonieri, Piero Marancelli, and Giuseppe Garibaldi, landed on American soil and helped create and strengthen an ideological bond between Italy and the United States. These ideological and diplomatic ties converged in the person of Giuseppe Bertinatti, appointed chargé d'affaires of the Kingdom of Sardinia in the United States in 1854. Bertinatti was a close friend of Carlo Botta, an Italian doctor, scholar, fervent supporter of the concept of the Republic, as well as the author of one of the first histories of the American Revolution, in which the new independent nation was glorified as the chosen place for the idea of freedom. Bertinatti also had a close relationship with Vincenzo Gioberti, an Italian philosopher, politician, and strong upholder of a political unification process for Italy inspired by the Federalist model.
Secondo il modello federalista.
After years of complex diplomatic efforts and wars, the King of Sardinia, Vittorio Emanuele II, and Prime Minister Camillo Benso, Count of Cavour, succeeded in bringing together a large part of the Italian peninsula under Sardinian
Riuscirono
rule.
a coronare i loro sforzi e a riunire buona parte della penisola sotto il dominio sardo.
On March 17, 1861, the Italian Parliament approved Law Number 4671, which read,
Approva la legge 4671.
King Vittorio Emanuele II assumes the title of King of Italy for himself and for his successors.
Assume per sé.
In order to consolidate the success on the international level, it was necessary to obtain the recognition of this change in title by foreign nations. And the United States were among the first governments to officially recognize the Kingdom of Italy. Let's recall the chronology of events leading up to the recognition of Italy by the United States. On March 19, 1861, Prime Minister Cavour wrote to Minister Plenipotentiary Giuseppe Bertinati, instructing him to contact the U.S. Department of State. The dispatch took 22 days to arrive in Washington. Upon its arrival, Bertinati sent a letter to U.S. Secretary of State William H. Seward, informing him of the change of title of King Vittorio Emanuele II, which was promptly acknowledged by the U.S. Department of State on April 13th with a diplomatic note. The process was finalized with the presentation of new credentials by U.S. Chargé d'Affaires George P. Marsh, who in turn saw his own title change from Minister to the Kingdom of Sardinia to Minister to the Kingdom of Italy.
Presso il Regno di Sardegna a ministro presso il Regno d'Italia.
Two distinct versions of the U.S. diplomatic note, dated April 13, 1861, appear in the Historical Diplomatic Archive of the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. A brief, rather cold diplomatic note, and an open, warmer diplomatic note. Why might that be? This is a small diplomatic mystery in which the story being told intersects with a larger one. Invited to dinner by U.S. Secretary of State William H. Seward on April 12, 1861, Minister Plenipotentiary Giuseppe Bertinati had planned on proposing a toast to the King of Italy, Vittorio Emanuele II. As he relayed to Prime Minister Cavour, this gesture was meant to remedy the simple acknowledgement of receipt, which was how Secretary Seward had initially reacted to the notification of King Vittorio Emanuele's change in title. It had been a bureaucratic response, which failed to explicitly recognize the birth of the new kingdom. But Bertinati's idea of a toast never came to life. In fact, a telegram suddenly interrupted the joyful atmosphere of the evening. The South Carolina militia had attacked Fort Sumter. It was no longer appropriate to raise a toast. The American Civil War had just started. However, Minister Bertinati's hopes were soon fulfilled. A few days later, on April 24, 1861, Secretary of State Seward accepted the request of the Italian diplomat and issued a new, warmer diplomatic note, backdated, replacing the prior one. America's steadfast support in recognizing the Kingdom of Italy was later reciprocated by Italy during the Civil War through the sympathies expressed by Italy for the Unionist front. This was a sign of vicinity, both political and in terms of shared ideals, in the midst of events in which at stake were the greatest principles of human society, as Prime Minister Cavour defined them in a dispatch to Minister Bertinati dated May 22, 1861.
The exhibition traces a particularly meaningful phase of the extraordinary path that led Italy and the United States to become, at first, fast friends, and today, strong allies. A history made of political, diplomatic, economic, and cultural relations, of shared values and principles, as well as of continuous migratory flows between our countries, as the 1868 Consular Convention that closes our small exhibition testifies. But this is a story we hope to be able to tell you in another circumstance.